Live, this is News 12 and NBC 26. News at 6 o'clock. On your side.
A Columbia County judge refuses to let a local transgender man change his name.
So his personal sexist bias got in the way of what he thinks the law is.
He wants to officially change it from Rebecca Elizabeth Feldhaus to Rowan Elijah Feldhaus.
Columbia County Judge David Roper denied the change because the middle name Elijah is not gender neutral. Rowan says the problem with the judge's order runs much deeper.
To me, not being given the name that I've been identifying with for so long, to be rejected, it's just, I don't feel like a human being right now.
So he's fighting back with an appeal, a 30-page appeal.
It comes exactly 11 months after Rowan first filed his petition to change his name.
It's rare for a judge to deny a name change, but not rare for Judge Roper. On your side, Liz Owen spent the afternoon searching through court documents, and she breaks down the numbers for us.
Well, Christy, in 2015, Superior Court judges granted 70 people in Columbia County name changes. Of those 70, two told the court they were transgendered. The court denied only one name change last year, and it involved a transgender man. The judge was the same one who denied Rowan's name changed just recently.
I had heard of cases where Judge Roper had already denied the petitions, and that's why I was aware that we were going to have a uphill fight.
From the start of the case, attorney Bo Hunter knew Judge J. David Roper would most likely not grant his client's petition for a name change.
Judge Roper felt like that this was a potential fraud on the community, and I don't think I think that's too broad a definition of fraud.
By law, a judge can't grant a name change if he believes the person is changing their name to defraud someone, usually creditors. Judge Roper says the name Rowan Elijah, specifically Elijah, sounded a lot like a man's name, thus fraudulent since Rowan was born a woman.
He agreed that Rowan was a gender neutral name, but he wouldn't go with the name Elijah.
But Judge Roper did grant this person a gender-specific name back in October. He allowed Lucas Matthews' request to change to Kylan Sophia. Unlike the two transgendered cases he denied, this person did not use the word transgender in the petition. The other difference, the other cases were women transitioning to men.
I looked at it as an issue of fairness. I didn't look at it necessarily as a transgender issue.
Now, any name change that's not marriage related must go through the Superior Court where you live. You must submit a petition to the court, pay a fee, and wait for the name change to run in the paper for a month before you even get to go to a hearing.
But Liz, this is a long and tedious process. I mean, it can take several months to get this
Even a year. Rowan actually submitted his claim last summer, so you see how long it's taken. And of course, he has appealed that now, so kind of have to wait and see what happens next.
And it's an appeal a lot of people will be watching.
That's right.
Liz, thank you.
All right, weather-wise across the area, we've had a lot of sunshine, and that's just the same from our vantage point in Grovetown. A lot of blue sky right now, just a little bit of a haze, a little bit closer to the horizon, indicative of some higher humidity levels creeping into the region. Temperatures right now are in the 90s for all spots except for Edgefield and Aiken and Bamberg. Elsewhere, lower to almost middle 90s for some spots. Feeling a little bit hotter out there also because of that humidity, but the higher humidity levels do hold off through the weekend. This evening, though, we're going to be 80s and then in the 70s as we head into midnight, but some very hot temperatures are on the way. We'll have the details on that coming up in just a bit.
An update at 6 o'clock. 6 people now facing charges following an attempted home invasion, a chase, and a search. David Capel, Faith Chandler, William Chandler, Joseph Glover, Jarius Glover, a 16-year-old who you don't see here because he's a minor. They're now all in custody. Deputies say the suspects tried to break in a home on Wagner, and when they chased them, they ditched the car and took off running on foot. The sheriff's office says they used deputies, a dog team, and a helicopter to track those suspects down.
Richmond County deputies are asking for your help finding a 15-year-old, Aaron Walker. He was last seen February 27th on Forest Street, but deputies say he has been seen in the Harrisburg area and on Richmond Hill Road West since. If you know where he is, give the sheriff's office a call.
This comes as a Grovetown teenager is now missing for a 5th day. Officers say 17-year-old Paul David Johnson went missing Monday and hasn't been seen since. Officers say he was wearing blue jeans, a gray jacket, and black New Balance shoes. Call Grovetown Police if you have seen him or if you know where he might be.
Ground crews will be searching the area where 2 F-16 jets crashed for at least the next few days. The South Carolina Air National Guard says air crews will decide on a day-to-day basis whether they'll need to put air crews up. They're still finding and categorizing pieces as they sift through the debris. It's spread over about 15 square miles. Crews found the body of the second jet as well and the tail section yesterday.
2 years after the 2014 ice storm leaves behind widespread damage, Aiken County is still paying the price. As Preston Willett reports, after flooding across South Carolina earlier this year, the county is seeing little help from the state.
A county feeling the heat after a devastating winter is leaving them out millions still 2 years later.
I actually had it in the budget for next year, so when we got that taken out last week, it kind of crimped our style pretty badly.
Aiken County Administrator Clay Killian is referring to the millions they are still waiting on from the state for relief from the 2014 ice storm. A push for the money this year fell flat again from local delegates like Tom Young for one key reason.
October of 2015, we had the 1,000-year flood, and a lot of counties across the state were impacted.
A flood that devastated Columbia, Charleston, and other areas around South Carolina. But the state was there with money in the budget to reimburse them. But as far as impact, the ice storm did just as much, if not more.
The impact in those areas to the utility infrastructure was the worst that they had seen anywhere in the state of South Carolina since Hurricane Hugo in 1989.
Out of the $6.8 million Aiken County spent, they wanted to be reimbursed for half. They received 25%. But the counties impacted by the October flood all received 100% reimbursement, leaving Aiken County wondering where their 75% is.
But they're not treating the declared disaster counties fairly.
The county was handed $305,000 for the local government fund, but they are still left with a $1.4 million deficit to cover this budget, which could mean dire cuts are needed.
The other options are to dip into our reserves further or cut services.
In Aiken County, Preston Willett on your side.
Aiken County Council will meet June 21st to have a third reading of the budget, leaving them this week to decide how to make up some of that $1.4 million. Representative Tom Young has already said he and other delegates will fight for the rest of the ice storm money in next year's budget.
Good news for families living near a washed-out bridge in South Richmond County. City leaders say a damaged section of Patterson Bridge Road is on schedule to open the beginning of July or sooner. It closed in April so construction crews could repair a part of the road just off of Windsor Spring Road. People living along Patterson Bridge Road asked commissioners to make sure this time it's a permanent fix.
City leaders say they're putting it all out there on a website showing you exactly where your tax dollars are going. But as Cody O'Hara reports, there are still some major projects that you won't find on the site.
It's a website that city leaders say is going above and beyond, keeping them accountable and transparent. But Commissioner Sean Fransom thinks it's a way to connect to the public.
People are like, okay, y'all got SPLOST, when is it coming? Educate the people better in the future.
The new City Watch section of the city's website details city projects, including where SPLOST and TIA money is going. But some commissioners still want it to show more, like how the stormwater fee is being spent.
All the new taxes over the last 18 months, everybody wants to know where's the money going. We have to be more accountable of the money moving forward because there's so much more money coming in.
I look at more work as a positive because it means that we've created something that people like.
The website doesn't show where stormwater fee money is going right now or any utilities department projects. The demolition program left off as well. Blanchard describes it as a tidal wave of new input that is coming in.
There's all these requests and everybody wants their particular thing, whatever it is, their area of interest to be the next thing on the site.
Commissioner Frantom wants to make sure all the information they're putting up isn't going unnoticed. The next step for the city, hiring someone to get the word out on where all the money is going.
We're doing what we said we were going to do and be transparent with the people moving forward. We can't look in the past and think that we're still the same way we are.
In Augusta, Cody O'Hara on your side.
Now, the IT department says every department and program will not be required to be on that site.
But they are trying to get all of this information from the site onto a mobile app so it's easier for people to use. Good for them. Well, new life ahead for a Warrenville church destroyed by a fire when you can stop by to show support at the groundbreaking for this new building.
And a growing form of golf making its way into Augusta and moving across the river. Ahead, we take a look at the newest disc golf course coming to Aiken County.
When the biggest stories break, News 12 NBC 26 is on your side.
Two planes collided around 9:30 this evening.
The pilots are expected to be okay.
On the scene with full team coverage.
Team coverage into that crash tonight.
All of the emergency vehicles.
It was a routine exercise.
Bringing you eyewitness interviews.
I seen this bright flash.
And live updates around the clock.
You are looking live at Jefferson County.
News 12 and NBC 26. Two stations, twice the coverage. On your side.
Glover Grove Missionary Baptist Church is getting new life after this. That church destroyed by fire last June, and tomorrow there'll be a groundbreaking for the new one. Pastor Bobby Jones telling us they'll break ground at noon at the church's location on Project Road in Warrenville. It's been a long time recovering there. Augusta, of course, known around the world as the home of the Masters, but a newer form of golf is big in Augusta as well, and that is disc golf.
And right across the river, Aiken County is getting into the game of disc golf as well. Logan Nestor's on your side with where you can go to get in on the game.
Aiken County opened up its first county-operated course in 2015 at Langley Pond Park. Now, only a year later, the county is opening their second at Boyd Pond Park. Disc golf has become so popular that Aiken County actually decided to turn this old 9-hole par 3 regular golf course into a disc golf course. Now, the whole project cost the county around $20,000. Parks and Rec decided more people would make use of a disc golf course and it would be cheaper to maintain. Parks and Rec Director Mark Vanderlinden says Aiken isn't alone. The entire CSRA is a disc golf destination.
Augusta is very popular with disc golf. It's home to the Professional Disc Golf Association, and Aiken County has a few courses. We didn't have any that we ran ourselves, but there's some in Aiken and North Augusta. We want to be able to contribute to that.
Aiken Parks and Rec is hosting tournaments at Boyd Pond and Langley Pond Park this summer. I even met a man at the Wildwood Park disc golf course in Appling who says he traveled all the way from North Carolina just to play the CSRA's disc golf courses.
On your side tonight, ahead of South Carolina's primary election Tuesday, there will be no uncontested races in this primary. So if there is one Republican running a race and no Democrat, the race will not be on the ballot. All of these races will be voted on again in November, so none of them are final. Some big ones for our area are Aiken County Council, District 3, Aiken County Treasurer, and Aiken County Coroner. The deadline to turn in your absentee application by mail for the June 14th primary has already passed. Monday at 5 p.m. is the deadline to file an absentee ballot in person, and the primary is Tuesday. Polls are open from 7 to 7. We've posted all of this information and more on our websites.
Temps in the 90s all weekend long, with the real heats hitting us Sunday. Scott, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's just going to be pretty miserable to spend any time outside unless you enjoy hot and sultry conditions. Well, the full forecast details coming up.
On your side with your hour-by-hour forecast.
Well, Doppler Max radar is clear again. We had a pretty dry period after having some storms over last weekend into the first part of this week, but we can really use the rain because we're starting to see some dry spots across the area. And one of those spots that's still dry today, lots of sunshine is along Washington Road there. There's our live eye camera, and temperatures because of all that sunshine have warmed up into the lower 90s for most spots, even close to the mid 90s down in the south and west, 93 degrees for Wrightsville. A little bit cooler off to the north and to the eastern sections of the area. A little bit more of an onshore flow helping to cool things off just a little bit there. But when you factor in the moisture that's in place, the humidity levels, it's feeling like the mid and upper 90s for a lot of spots. 95 degrees for Millen, 93 for Waynesboro, and 96 degrees at the SRS, and near 100 degrees out in Barnwell County. And those heat index temperatures, how it feels to your body, they're only going to be on the increase as we do head through this weekend with high temperatures in the mid and upper 90s. Some spots will certainly be a little bit warmer than that, and that trend's going to continue as we head into the first part of the week, but we will finally see some relief from this sultry heat at the end of next week, with some storm chances also entering the forecast, which will bring us some much needed rain all across the region, seeing a mainly clear sky, except for down along the coast where you had some thunderstorm development, but even now it's starting to dissipate a little bit, now moving down into the Florida Panhandle and the Big Bend area. And high pressure still in control of our weather. That's why we're seeing those mainly clear skies, but that's going to gradually move off to the east and really help to pump in the moisture and the warm air from the south, which will help us to heat up. But with that high in place, that's going to limit our storm chances until it begins to weaken as we head into the later part of next week and exit the region. Just a little bit of cloud cover, maybe even some fog to start off the day tomorrow, so some higher humidity levels, and then in the afternoon, a spotty shower or two will be possible, but widespread activity is not expected as long as that high is over us, over the southeast. And we'll go through that same kind of pattern as we go into Sunday, mainly dry conditions. A very weak cold front will approach the region, and that will help to initiate some storms outside of the area, mostly to the west, mostly to the south. Some of those might be able to stray into our area, but overall, it will remain dry throughout the weekend. We won't see any of those changes until likely Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. To start the day tomorrow, Futurecast starting off with some fog in the picture here with temperatures on the mild side, and then as we head into the middle part of the morning, we'll already be warming up near 90 degrees. Certainly by lunchtime, we'll be at that temperature for a lot of spots, and then in the afternoon, a lot of locations, most of us will be in the lower to mid 90s. The warmest temperatures will likely be a little bit further to the south, and if you're lucky enough to see one of those pop-up showers, that'll help to cool things off just a little bit, but it will certainly increase the humidity, which will not really be a relief. 66 degrees for our low temperature for tonight with some patchy fog, so just be aware of that if you're going to be hitting the roadways early in the morning. We're in the yellow as far as disruptive weather because of the excessive heat that we will have in place. It's going to feel more like 100 degrees at times for spots, so definitely take it easy. Storm chances will be in the forecast Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott. Sports is next, and the college recruiting game is as big as ever.
They're starting younger and younger these days. Aquinas star wide receiver Justin Gibbs, he's seen it going on for a couple of years now as offers start to roll in. It can be intimidating to deal with these big-time college coaches, but Gibbs is dealing with it. Kevin has that and more next in sports.
Yesterday, looked at McCormick sophomore Mateo Durant.
On your sideline, sports.
Yesterday, we caught up with McCormick sophomore Mateo Durant and how his recruiting game is just getting started. Today, switching gears, Aquinas' Justin Gibbs, who has a pretty long list of offers. The rising senior, one yes away from playing Division I football. Brian Schnacky has more.
I talked to a lot of coaches, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, Appalachian State. They show me a lot of love, so they just make me feel comfortable, and that's good.
To name a few more, Western Kentucky, Purdue, Tulane, Illinois, Georgia Southern. Gibbs has certainly put in the yards and scored his fair of touchdowns. But running past 11 players on defense has not been the hardest part for Justin on moving up to the next level.
Learning how to talk to coaches. At first, you'd be like, it's like kind of scared to talk to college coaches, but it's the same people as you, so just getting comfortable with them.
Gibbs will get the opportunity to talk and impress a lot more coaches when he heads to one of the biggest camps in the Southeast.
We got a competition in IMG up in Florida a couple of weeks, helping to do good up there.
Currently in the recruiting process, Gibbs doesn't know exactly where he'll play college football, but he does have a goal.
Just bettering myself, learning new techniques, learning from good coaches, and just bettering myself.
In the short term, it's eyes on the upcoming football season as Gibbs will look to end his senior year with a bang, a state title. In Augusta, Brian Chinacki.
Besides the prestigious IMG camp Gibbs will be taking part of, he will also be in Charlotte with one of Cam Newton's. Sometimes kids can receive more notice in the off-season than in season, with these camps available to them nowadays. With 7 locals in the field at the St. Jude Classic, the question today, how many will be around for the weekend? To Memphis we go. Former Louisville resident Brian Gay won this tournament a few years ago, draining the putt. He has a couple of late bogeys, though, sits at 3 under par. Phil Mickelson loves playing the week before a major, long birdie putt. Mickelson in the mix as 5 under as well. Right now, all but Scott Brown is within the cut line. Brownie withdrawing earlier today. Less than 24 hours away from the Super Regional in Columbia, South Carolina, Oklahoma State will battle. The winner goes to the College World Series. One thing we found out from Chad Holbrook's squad, they are a resilient bunch of guys. While they might not have the firepower of past teams, they just get after it, and you won't give up until the final out.
Not necessarily the most talented team I've ever been a part of, but it is the closest. They're selfless. The camaraderie they have, I've been saying it, but there's something special about it.
Gamecocks will either start Braden Webb or Clark Schmidt in the series opener. Webb was drafted today by Milwaukee in the 3rd round. Finally, an animal delay in Michigan for practice of the Xfinity Series. That is a groundhog on the track. This guy here stood no chance.
A shovel.
But he did direct him into the right area. Finally, they put a bucket over top of him.
Well, between the shovel and the bucket wins.
I mean, fortunately, the shovel didn't win because that might not have been
with
pretty.
all the kids watching. And for the record, he did see a shadow. It looks like he did see a shadow out there.
Sure is, and throughout the weekend here, he's going to see a shadow. Lots of sunshine and hot conditions. 93 for tomorrow, 96 degrees for Sunday, and those hot conditions will last into the middle part of the week. And thankfully, some storm chances will help to cool things off down where we should be. And we certainly could also use those rain showers and storms because we're starting to get a little bit behind on our rainfall for the year.
He almost saw a shadow and the pearly gates all at once with the shovel guy chasing him. That's going to do it for News 12 and NBC 26. Good to have you with us. Your network news is next.
We're back for you at 11. Have a great weekend.